Do you find management intensive grazing too intense? Like, there's a lot of information to gather, to learn. You have to learn about the growth cycles of grass. You have to learn about how cows digest and how the different breeds grow at different rates. What is your soil going to do? What is your land? How do you use it all? I find it completely overwhelming, and I wanted to give you an overview of a very simple grazing system that's been developed over the last several years based on over 40 years of knowledge, and 40 plus because it's 40, 55. We're going to claim 55 years plus of knowledge. My 15 years and my mentor, Troy Bishop, his 40 years of grazing experience and working with conservation districts, owning and operating our own farms, raising a variety of different livestock. We've taken all that information, holistic management, and distilled it down into a simple grazing system with 4 elements. There are 4 little pieces here, and let's review them really quickly. If you're struggling with where to start with grazing, this is a good start that will springboard you into the other grazing systems that you'll learn about as you get into this, as you learn more year to year, as you grow out of what I'm about to present. You will find holistic managed grazing, you'll find other things, amp grazing, whatever. This is a good starting point. This is where I want you to begin. So we're going to go over those 4 elements now, and on the last element, I'm going to share a bunch of photographs from the field of this, all of this theory in practice and being scaled to other farmers. My favorite place to start is with the grazing map. This is our inventory sheet, our resources. This is my farm, the farm I was operating, and this is not the farm. This is not the farm, so it's all grayed out. It's a little subdevelopment, and I've broken the farm into paddocks, and it's a very simple map with very little technical information that you can make very quickly by just outlining your property borders and then breaking up your fields by what geographically makes sense. Where do you have trees or rocks or water elements? And just giving you a good overview of what you have available. And you've started to quantify your farm by saying this one field is 2.5 acres. Field number 3 is 1 acre. Field number 4 is 2 acres. Field number 6 is 3. So now you have an inventory sheet to work with. So now we know we've got a resource base. We're going to put that off to the side. Then we know we want to raise 4 cows or 40 cows or 400 cows. It doesn't matter. All of this math works no matter how many animals that you have. You just need to know roughly what is the average weight of the animal. We have a video on this, but it could be 800 pounds. It could be 50 pounds of sheep. Whatever the case may be for grazing animals, how much they require on a day-to-day basis, and then how much land is going to be required to grow that daily input. And we have the grazing plan to help us do that math to know that we need 5.5 acres for a 30-day rest period. And there's a whole video on this where we break it down. So we've got the grazing plan, we've got the map with our resources, we got a plan. Now the rubber needs to hit the road, or the hooves need to hit the grass. We have a simple grazing chart, which is just an oversimplified version of the NRCS grazing chart or the holistic managed grazing chart. This is just a grossly I don't want to use any bad words, but a very simplified version of what a grazing chart is. And here we start with our 4 cows on a 3-day rotation throughout our farm for 30 days of rest. We have a grazing chart. Now, all of this is theory. We've all laid this out. Now we have to put animals out on grass. And what does that look like in the middle of the season? This picture I love. I brought my drone to a workshop that Troy did. And there's me standing next to our little buggy so we can carry up materials. And there's a group of grazing professionals. And you see this area has been trimmed with a mower to maintain it. This area may be getting grazed next, and the cows are heading that way. This area is in the midst of being trimmed after the cows have moved out, but they didn't have enough time to cut all the grass. I think you and I have been there before. And then this has a longer rest period where they may be moving down this field and coming back down around the farm and back up again. This may get trimmed after this, so that by the time they get down in the rotation and back up again, this is at the ideal growth period. But you can see the segmentation. Here's the other angle. Is the cows are here, the people are here. This field is bisected, it's cut in half. It's actually cut in 3. Where you got a field here, where the cows are now, where the cows are going to be, where the cows are going to be in 30 days, where the cows are going to be in 35 days, or whatever. beautiful illustration from above when you start to think of these managed grazing systems as you're looking top down on your farm. This is just the bird's eye view, as if you owned your own personal satellite. Love the delineations, the trimming as part of Troy's one of the best grazers I know, very talented, and trims will mow to manage the grass in a way that is managed through all of his grazing system. I'm going to say managed and grazing a ton of times. All people standing in a field. There's Troy teaching, standing in grass. Troy's grass is luscious and great. There's the cows curious about him giving some education classes. You can see the difference in the grass here versus the grass being grazed right now. Here's a beautiful picture because I am an artist. And this guy, not afraid to walk around, get dirty, stick his face in the ground, put grass in his mouth, teach people the practical how-to farming and the life cycle of the soil, the grass, nutrient cycling, the animals, and the whole thing with a conservation swing of creating more habitat and working with nature versus fighting it. It works for different grazing systems, whether it's for beef, dairy, or others. And he's a good friend of mine. So we've worked for years. He's been grazing like this for 40 years. I am 15 years into my agricultural career, and I still feel like a little baby, especially compared to this guy. So I've learned more from him every time. He's forgotten more about growing animals on grass than I've ever learned. And every time I pick up the phone and talk to him, I feel like I learned something new. This is us in 2013, doing some original podcasts back in the day with the Growing Farmers podcast. This is an image that you will see on my chicken tractor books, and I've had my buddy illustrate it, where that's Troy pulling my first round of chicken tractors ever. This is one of my first batches of birds in existence, and I just want to give this man some love, because without him, I wouldn't have spent the last 3 years developing a simple grazing system after just taking his grazing system and beating the heck out of it. Getting it to the point of no matter who you are, where you are in your grazing journey, if you're not moving your cows in a managed fashion, this is the lowest bar. This is the easiest way to start. You can print out all of these materials on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. You can find all of them to download for free from farmmarketingsolutions.com/start grazing. I just believe this information should exist. I have other products people can buy. This is going to be for free, something that we're working on, getting more people growing grass, building soil, sequestering carbon, feeding their animals, living a better life, cutting their feed costs, making their farms more sustainable and regenerative, and hopefully leaving the world a better place than we found it.